So how many of you are currently in a leadership role? Okay, good. Actually, you don't have to be in a leadership role to be a leader. Anybody in today's workplace can be a leader. However, it's up to you to choose what type of leader you want to be. In today's society, it's inevitable that you're going to encounter people from different backgrounds with different mindsets and different personalities. To be a strong leader, you have to be flexible in your leadership style and be able to make a connection with every person on your team. So today, we're going to focus on 5 strategies on how to lead in a multicultural workplace.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter, and I'll be starting off the presentation with 3 points on how to be more open-minded, and Michael will follow up with emphasizing on the necessity to embrace the need to change. I will then talk about how the tactic of visualization can help you to achieve your goals. And then Sean will talk about how you can improve or develop your emotional intelligence. And then finally, Stephanie will close us out with how you can lead by positive influence. Now, it's normal for people to want to be with like-minded individuals, identifying ourselves with people who we hang out with. And this, although it's comfortable, may lead us to an area of complacency in our lives, which keeps us from developing and further expanding our outlook on life. Which is why I'll talk to you about 3 ways that you can be more open-minded. The first is to reserve your judgment when you are making conversation with another individual. Jack Quam, an expert on epistemology, or the theory of knowledge, states in his article, epistemic injustice and open-mindedness, that when you build walls around your ideals before you start initiating conversation with someone else, and you look down on their way of life because you think that you are correct, it's causing you to commit epistemic injustice to them. What this means is that you are intellectually insulting them because you're placing yourself on top of their ideals just because you're more comfortable with your ideals. And so you need to open yourself up to new ideas. And Kalestis Juma, a professor on the practice of international development at the Harvard Kennedy School, emphasizes in his book, Innovation and Its Enemies, why people resist technology. He says in the book that humanity's progress is directly linked to the introduction of new technologies, but it can be impeded upon by people who are unwilling to change because it's not as comfortable as what they had before. And honestly, that doesn't make sense, because why would you impede on progress just because you don't want to break wrong? And once you've gotten a few of these ideas, you have to put them into practice. Don't let them just sit in your head, because, and although some of these ideas may seem not as ideal as you would like them to be, try going through them anyways, because you have to sift out your options and make sure that they either work or don't work for you. You never know until you try it. Now I'll pass it off to Michael, who will be talking to you about embracing the need to change.
So as you all know, change is a constant thing, and as a leader, you must be willing to change and embrace the need to change in your organization. Because if you don't, you cannot expect the team to change their attitude or perception in the organization. You also have to be flexible and recognize that your team is your most valuable resource, and remember that diversity is all inclusive and everybody has something to bring to the table one way or the other. Now you need to understand your fit within the culture and use that awareness to create or drive for positive change, and at the same time connect with the heart and mind of your team. And in other words, connect with the emotional part of your team, because emotions are the driving force behind human behavior. And in other words, like, so in other words, to shape and sustain your organizational culture, you have to connect with the emotional side of the team. And finally, as a leader, you have the ability to either make or break your team, because you set forth the vision through your actions and your decisions. I will now give it back to Peter to talk to you guys about how you can visualize your success.
Visualizing success is not a new concept. It's been proven over and over again in multiple industries that the best of the best always visualize their success before they're successful. And I, for example, like to play billiards when I have some free time. And a big part of billiards is to imagine the ball, when you hit it, where is it going to end up, and how will it affect all the other balls. Metaphorically, you could see this as your leadership actions and how it could affect your team and maybe even the entire organization. You need to recognize the opportunities that are presented to you. Opportunities arise around us every day, every second of every day, and the only way to take advantage of them is by acknowledging them and to see that they are there. In which case, you must take advantage of the situations that arise. And yeah, take advantage of the situations and don't let them pass by you. And be prepared for any situation that could arise. And now I'll pass it off to Chan, who will talk about how to improve your emotional intelligence.
All right, so one of the most important skills you can have as a leader is having emotional intelligence and being able to match the emotional frequencies of your team. Not only you with them directly, but your teammates among themselves. And one of the ways you do this is by monitoring the attitude of the workplace. Now, a lot of employees have personal problems, not only with themselves, but with each other a lot of the times, that it might not explicitly lead to an immediate situation, but it could be festering for something to blow up if you don't take care of it. And the signs for these, they might be obvious, such as in the case of sexual harassment or employees undermining each other, but they can also be more subtle, such as employees going through mental health problems. And in this situation, what you need to do is facilitate a positive environment. And the reason you want to do that is because, like I said, everyone has their own personal problems. You know, every single person in the world does. But if they bring those personal problems into the workplace, make that their attitude, work just also kind of becomes a place where your problems just fester up and you just think about them all day instead of what you're supposed to be focused on, you know? But instead, as a team leader, you realize your employees have those problems and you make them simply act positive. You know, just come to work and act positive. And they'll get the feeling that, you know, they need to start doing this. Everyone around me is starting to act positive, so maybe I should too. Maybe I should leave my problems at home. Or, you know, if you can't do that, just fake a smile. And this doesn't seem very helpful, but at the end of the day, you know, just an environment where you can go in and where you have to forget about your problems pretty much. that'll really make us call a conscious effort on your work, in which your positive attitude will lead to a better work ethic, and you'll be a better employee all around. And finally, you should be modifying the needs of you should modify the workplace to the needs of your workers. And this basically just bounces off the previous 2 points. This goes from major to minor points, from physical problems to mental problems. And this goes to things such as, employees being harassed, go to HR, go to the proper venues to get that dealt with. If an employee is going through depression, maybe to talk to the right people who can talk to that employee and make that better for them. As a personal example, actually, I go to classes 5 times a night on top of working full time. So I try to get my sleep in wherever I can. I tried to take a nap on my lunch break, and my boss was basically like, James, it's a bit frowned upon to do that, here. But what he did do was, there's this room called a wellness room, which is just a single cubicle room, and you can go in and sleep. And that's what he told me about. He told me, I understand you're tired. It looks kind of bad if you're sleeping on company time, even if it's your lunch break. People don't always know that. It looks kind of bad. Go down to this room and, just take a 20-minute nap. No one's going to ask you any questions. That's what I did. I'm happier. He's happier. It's a happier workplace. And with that, I will pass it on to, oh no, I'm not going to pass it on. We'll be watching a video on emotional intelligence. And from this video, I want you to take 2 points. Or I want you to basically try to give me 2 points on why leading with emotional intelligence is the best way to go.
Almost every business decision we make on a daily basis is based on emotions. We feel choice A is better than choice B. Therefore, many times we make our choices based on what our emotions or gut feelings are telling us. People need to have the self-awareness of their own emotions and the origins to understand themselves better, their motivations, fears, limitations, and strengths. It's also extremely important for people to be in touch with their emotions when working in teams. But just as important is their ability to work with empathy, to imagine a problem or situation from another perspective, to stand in somebody else's shoes. Being attuned to other people's emotions and concerns is even more significant today when teams are cross-cultural and businesses are global, thus increasing the complexity of interactions and how emotions are expressed. Emotional intelligence is quite simply the ability to understand, express, and manage your own emotions, develop and maintain good social relationships, and think clearly and solve problems under pressure. Try this simple exercise. Recall a recent incident you would describe as stressful. Visualize yourself as an observer, not a participant, almost like you are looking down on the situation from above. As you shift from the role of the participant to the observer, notice the corresponding shift in your emotional state. This self-awareness, now freed of its emotional charge, will help you clearly see how you are impacted by the situation and how you are impacting others. All too often, there's very little emphasis placed on building soft skills or emotional intelligence in schools or workplaces. So where does one learn how to hone these soft skills? The Leading with Emotional Intelligence course is an essential leadership program which helps students, corporate professionals, and entire organizations realize their full potential and improve their relationships with others. In this Leading with Emotional Intelligence program, we work through the EQI 2.0 model developed by Multi Health Systems, which consists of 15 emotional intelligence competencies, including some of the following. Self-regard, the ability to accept yourself for who you are, warts and all. Assertiveness, the ability to say, in a non-offensive way, what you need to say when you need to say it. Social responsibility, the ability to give back, to be helpful. Impulse control, the ability to resist or delay an impulse, drive, or temptation to act. And flexibility, the ability to transition your emotions from one state to another. The only way to strengthen your 15 emotional intelligent competencies is to work them. Just like strengthening your biceps, the only way you can build these competencies is if you practice working them. If you want stronger biceps, you do more curls. Well, in a sense, if you want stronger emotional muscles, you do the exercises you need to in order to improve them. This Leading with Emotional Intelligence program provides the necessary tools to 1. Perceive, express, and manage your own emotions. 2. Be aware of others' feelings and help establish strong relationships. And 3. Use the information provided by your emotions to act appropriately in the face of daily challenges. The more you understand your emotions as well as others, the better your professional and personal lives will be.
So can anyone give me 2 benefits to leading or just having emotional intelligence? Anyone? No? Okay.
I thought like the third person view of taking a step back and the self-regardedness is a good point. Just kind of seeing what you're going through from a different point of view, and then flexibility. Those are 2 really good points.
So those are just 2 of the many that you probably already understand by this point. So now we will move on to the activity in which you guys all have a scale in front of you. Please grade yourselves on the scale. It's not a competition, it's a self-assessment. So be truthful, and at the end you're going to pair off and share your results if you'd like to.
We'll give you a minute or so to complete.
Alright. So you guys have taken the quiz. Have you guys all finished? Are you guys good? Okay. Well, we took the quiz ourselves, and what I realized from my quiz was that I deal with people in a much more casual way. You know, even at work, really, I just deal with them in a much more casual way. And a lot of people, I thought they appreciated it, but they don't sometimes, and sometimes they would just prefer, you know, being more professional, and they don't like the casuality. And what I realized from that is that I could, you know, put myself in their shoes, understand why they prefer to be serious. Maybe that's how they get their work done. And that's what I learned from mine. So now that you've finished, please, I guess, pair up and discuss your results. We'll give you 2 minutes, and at the end, if anyone would like to share, they can share.
I got a 22. What'd you get?
35.
Oh wow. Are you good at motivating people?
Your relationship management.
Okay,
Your relationship with other people.
so meaning like you're 10.
I can't talk to people now.
Not necessarily.
Like, if you have a higher number, then it means saying like it affects your financial. So there's
What'd you get?
No, it says that you are able to.
like using the leverage for that means helps you.
Or you can tell how to spend the rest.
Let's compare results.
I am good at motivating people. You're not good at motivating people? Others can depend on you? No? Not very good.
I know.
Others can tell? How do you know if your relationship's in a safe place?
Sometimes, often.
What's a safe place?
I'm pretty sure the
Alright, so I think that's enough.
Give me
So we have
mine.
time for. Would anyone like to share the results that they got, or did anyone get any strange results that they didn't expect? Anyone to share?
Mike said I needed I have area for enrichment. I scored a 22.
22 out of 40, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would be some ways that you can enrich your relationship management skills? Because this is focusing on relationship management, right? Like the way that you deal with other people. What would be some ways, based on what we learned from the video, that you can learn to enrich in those areas?
I guess, be more socially aware and develop a connection with their, with others, other people somehow. So-
Right, just like, I mean, part of the presentation had just kind of taking a step back and looking to see how you came off, just kind of, you know, based on the feedback that you got from the audience, right? Now being able to put that into action and based on the feedback that you got and be more, a little bit more engaged, right? So it's just that self-awareness piece of it.
I
So-
suppose, yes.
Anybody else would like to share?
Oh,
No? All right.
Stephanie will take over.
Okay, well, to be a leader worth following, you have to be positive for those people that look up to you, right? So how can you have that type of impact on people? Well, you can do that by creating good experiences, encouraging self-improvement, and motivating those to discover their sense of purpose. Creating a good experience is critical to building trust. You cannot be a lasting, positive influence to anybody if you don't gain their trust first. Research shows that it's the last segment of an experience that matters the most. The ending and the outcome carry the greatest weight in a person's future decision making. Now, picture Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid. At the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. Supporting your team in personal development is exactly the way that you can assist them in helping them become the person that they're capable of being. I can speak to this from personal experience as I am actually on the receiving end of it. My boss has a very interesting way of leading. She actually breaks you down in order to build you back up. So while some of our conversations may not start off on the right note, at the end of our conversations, and what I remember the most is that she's able to peel me back like an onion, think of it that way, and really get to the bottom of what I need to be a better person. She encourages me to get out of my comfort zone and challenges me to speak and handle things that I typically would not have experience with, or I'm afraid to do because I don't have the experience to do it. So even though the conversations start off on a good note because she's holding me accountable for something that I'm not taking ownership right there and then, at the end of the day, looking back, I know that she has good intentions and she's motivating me to be the best person that I can be. And she believes in me. So I know that she has good intentions. So how are you able to motivate people to discover their sense of purpose, right? Whatever their sense of purpose is, this has to be a selfless act. You can't impose your own purpose on other people. So you have to genuinely support them by being a good listener and actually encouraging them, exposing them to whatever is going to make them come out of their comfort zone and give them that encouragement to try new things. So really, being a positive influence is not about you as a leader, it's more about the people that you impact. In summary, we hope that you are able to take some of these strategies and be able to implement them on your workplace on Monday morning, or be able to also put them into practice in your personal life. Thank you.